You're listening to Spangled Banter with James and Peyton, the social and political commentary podcast where we rant, you decide.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
There is nothing wrong with America that cannot be cured by what is right with America.
We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning.
Good morning, Vietnam! Is what Robin Williams said in that one movie.
Good morning,
You
Vietnam.
know, no, Patch Adams. Copyright infringement.
We're sued again.
Well, again, every day it's
Get
the
the
same
lawyers
old,
ready.
same old. All right, welcome to the Star Spangled Banter, where we are here to bring you more insanity. Why? Because idiots keep doing stuff.
Amen, brother.
My God.
But thank God for that, because it gives us
Right?
something to talk about.
Seriously. I am your host on the left, Peyton Berger. With me, as always, on the right, Jim Kaluger.
What's crack-a-lackin'?
Oh, it's been a hell of a week, I'll tell you that much.
Boy.
So, we're going to do something kind of more similar to our first episode, if you listen to our pilot, where we're going to kind of go a little stream of conscious again. A lot of it is because this last week was pretty hellish for me. It was not good on a personal end, but also on just a professional end as well. And Warpath Peyton is definitely going to come out at some point.
About
this
damn
episode.
time. I keep advertising Warpath Peyton, and I haven't been able to see much of him, so it's nice to have him on the show. Thanks, Warpath, for showing up.
Yeah, fuck you. What about you, Jim? How was your week?
How was your
our
summer
weeks.
vacation? What did I do this week? What did I feel like I did something fairly important, and I can't remember what the hell. Well, let's see. I did a lot of stuff around the house. I finally tinted the windows here in the bungalow, so it's not so blaringly
It is
hot.
nice. It is at least 5 degrees cooler in here.
At least.
It is very, very nice.
We got rid of a giant-ass palm tree in the back of the yard. That was fun.
What? I didn't
It
notice
was
that.
in the corner.
Oh, okay.
What else happened? I feel like there's other shit that I did. We bought a bunch of stuff for the house. We did hashtag adulting. Oh, I finally got a paycheck. Not a paycheck, but I got paid out for my 401k that was just kind of sitting there because I haven't been working for a while.
Aw.
So finally they're like, well, you got to take this money out. So
you have
you
to
have
take
to
money
take this
from
money.
your 401k.
Yeah. Since it's just been sitting here, you got to get rid of it. You got to take it.
What? You're not even 35. Like
I know. So I thought this wasn't something I could take until I was 65. But anyway, they made me take the money out, and I got a check that went into my savings account.
I still can't even figure out how they literally can force you to take money out of your.
Well, it was
401k.
either that or I had to put it into something else, which I would have to, again, be working steadily. So I'm like, well, damned if I do, damned if I don't, because right now my freelancing career is kind of...
This is our freelance.
yeah, right, you're listening to it, folks. So, yeah, so that's why I had to do that. So that was my major thing, but it was a nice payout, so I wasn't really,
Right.
I wasn't disappointed. But
All right.
it was just one more reminder of, oh, I'm not working.
Well, at least you've got more adulting shit happening than I do. Like this last week, I sat on my ass and I was writing screenplays, which I guess is not a bad thing, but it would be nice if I got a paycheck
Right?
for writing
Get paid
such
for it.
screenplays. But
I'm working on
that's
that.
what I get for going into business for myself.
Right, seriously.
I will say this though, and I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble for this or not, but I really just don't give a fuck.
I think we're going to get in trouble for a lot of things
I
on this
don't
episode.
care.
So here we
I
go.
don't care. I
Let her-
don't
let her-
care
let her
anymore. I
rip,
literally,
dude.
this morning, I just threw my hands up in the air and I was like, I'm done.
Lucky episode number 13 is where we just...
Oh my God, it is 13,
It is
isn't
13.
it?
We're gonna...
Shit. All right. Well, it's gonna get superstitious as fuck up in this bitch. Okay. So, I recently did work on a little show that's coming out soon called Law and Order: True Crime: The Menendez Murders. Now, I'm not bashing Dick Wolf in any way, shape, or form, but could you have made it any more obvious that you are trying to replicate American Crime Story? Holy hell.
Everybody
Like-
is trying to replicate American Crime. So even American Crime Story is like, how can
Yeah,
we
but
do
it makes
better?
sense though. It's good though.
Well, yeah,
Have you
that's
seen
why-
The People versus
Yeah.
O.J. Simpson?
Yeah,
Fuck.
that's why
I was
everyone's
like,
doing this.
I was blown away by how good it was. It was so good. And I'm not like the biggest Ryan Murphy fan, but the show that he's producing, American Crime Story, for those who don't know, Ryan Murphy is famous for creating such TV shows as Glee and American Horror Story, as well as a number of other stuff as well. Well, he's an executive producer, not necessarily the creator of American Crime Story, but it's an anthological TV show. apparently Dick Wolf and the people over at Law & Order want to do the same fucking thing.
Because
And now-
originality reigns in Hollywood.
Pretty much.
I said sarcastically.
So, an asterisk.
An asterisk.
So now, Law & Order wants to create their own, and they're doing it on the Menendez brothers, which I think is a pretty fun story because...
Well, there's a whole generation that has no idea about the Menendez
Right.
brothers.
And what's interesting about it is because, yeah, they were two brothers who murdered their parents, and there's, like, a bunch of, like, red tape and...
because of who they were, and I guess their family had some prestige or whatnot. Because
they were fucking wealthy, dude.
Because of who they were and where they came from, there was a lot of red tape. There was a lot of back channel dealings. There was a lot of
speculation and conjecture that the parents were actually sexually and physically abusing the Menendez brothers. The reason why the Menendez murders was so famous is because technically, and I found this out when I was on the set, technically the Menendez murders was the first televised murder court. I'm jumbling up
the
my
first
words.
televised murder trial.
Thank you. The first televised murder trial, and it literally happened right before O.J. Simpson.
Yeah, like like a matter of months,
like a year or two.
or whatever it was. Yeah.
Yeah, it happened within just a few months of the O.J. Simpson thing. So the Menendez murders was the first murder trial televised for syndication. And it's a big deal. So that's why they're doing it. And I guess Edie Falco's on it, who plays Nurse Jackie. She's on it. She's playing the defense lawyer of the Menendez brothers. And she was great. Edie Falco was actually very nice. She was a sweet gal. I had no complaints about her. However, I, for one, will be boycotting this show. And it has nothing to do with creativity. It has nothing to do with any of
Content
that.
or anything like
Content,
that.
whatever.
No.
It could be a good show. It could be a bad show. I don't care. I'm boycotting it because that fucking crew was about the worst, most condescending, disrespectful pieces of shit I have ever had the displeasure of sharing a set with. I swear to God. Just every one of them.
Tell us how you
every
feel,
one
Peyton.
of them. Every one of them just had some stupid ass thing that they were doing or saying or blundering up in some way, shape, or form. And I'm like, I realize that this is the first season, but that team should not be this big.
They should not be that inexperienced.
Oh, they were awful. Oh, the second AD even admitted that was her first day as second AD ever. And I'm like, this is something you do not tell us.
Yes, you don't reveal that. You're
because
supposed to,
yeah,
you know.
because now I can tell. Oh yeah, you clearly have no idea what you're doing, and you could tell she had no idea what she was doing. The only people I didn't have a run-in issue with was the camera team. Or the camera ops.
Yeah, usually
That
the
was
camera
about it.
ops, they got their shit together. Out of everybody on the crew that I've ever experienced, camera crew, you guys tend to have your shit together the most.
Seriously,
And
thank
thank
you
you.
for that. Thank you for that. Seriously,
Now,
I am.
you have to have your shit together because if you don't, well,
If you don't, there's no television. There's no movies. What were you looking up? I was curious.
I was trying to look up when Law and Order came out,
Oh,
but
okay.
I'd have to do a lot more reading, and I don't want to do that right now.
I think Dick Wolf is he's running out of ideas.
I think so.
personally.
Well, I think that was his that was his best idea.
Yeah.
That was
Speaking of people running out of ideas, this is another one, and I mentioned this to Jim briefly before we were going to run this, but I think this is a nice little segue. Essentially, if there's one trend that has gone on this last week at least, I'm sure longer, but this last week was much more egregious than normal, and I think this might be the topic of discussion, but for this episode, it's really just going to be, we're just going to stream of conscious this shit.
Yep, the whole way
But
through.
honestly, we're going to talk a lot about the issues regarding free speech. Because,
or lack thereof.
Because it is getting
I'm looking at you, Berkeley.
nutty out there. It really is. Like, it's insanity. So I'm going to say something regarding another industry issue that, Jim, you'll find very interested about this. I read this article. There was a civil dispute regarding money and plagiarizing. And the dispute was between French filmmaker Luc Besson and American filmmaker John Carpenter.
Okay.
He is American, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I either American or Canadian. I'm pretty sure he's American.
I'm pretty sure he's American too. But
We should know our shit, Peyton. We are
should-
film guys.
we
I mean,
didn't know what. Well, I knew Luc Besson was.
well, he ain't
was-
German.
Oh yeah, John Carpenter. He's from New York. So.
Alright.
Now, for those of you that don't know, John Carpenter is a famous filmmaker from the 70s and 80s. He was famous for making Assault on Precinct 13, Halloween, The Fog, Escape from New York, and The Thing. Oh, and also Big Trouble in Little China. These are like his big
I'm sorry. That's like one of these things is not like the other. Big Trouble, Little
in Little China. Yeah, I name off like all of these like gory
horror films, and you name this campy.
It was good.
Kurt
though.
Russell vehicle.
It's a cult classic.
It's a guilty pleasure. I've seen it like 4 or 5 times,
It's
and
a
each
cult
and every
classic,
time
man.
I'm like, oh, I feel stupid for watching this, but I'm not gonna stop. I don't care.
It's fun.
Yeah.
And then, for those of you that don't know who Luc Besson is, he's famous for making such movies as Leon the Professional. He did the newest movie that came out, Valerian, The City of a Thousand Planets. But the movie that he is most well known for making was in the late 90s, a fun little sci-fi flick called The Fifth Element. Ooh, I love The Fifth Element.
Oh, I love that movie.
Seriously, The Fifth Element is... I'll even say, I think it's one of the best science fiction movies of all time.
Yeah.
Like, whenever it's on, I have to watch it.
I have got to watch it. Again, it's one of those movies you can't look away. It's either so good or so just intriguing.
Yeah.
That you're like, I got. And that movie was where I decided that Gary Oldman was one of the best actors alive. I went,
my word.
His performance
he
was
fantastic.
Yeah.
Well,
this is why we got to do a filmmaking podcast soon, because there's so much shit we want to geek out about.
Oh yeah, I love Luc Besson. He's definitely someone who is I'm not gonna say he's an acquired taste, but he definitely has his own style, and
Well,
he
I'm gonna tell you,
he sticks with it. And you know what? I got to give him a lot of props for
I'm
it.
gonna tell you this, as someone who studied film, I'm not a huge fan of French films. Sorry, I don't mind Jacques Tati. I don't mind Truffaut.
Truffaut, yeah.
Those guys are fine because they tend to be a little more.
What about Goddard?
Goddard's not. He has his moments. There's been some films where I'm like, you're a little.
Dude, I'm telling you, I don't. If you like international films or not, if you're looking for a total mind fuck of a movie, watch Jean-Luc Godard's Breathless.
Yeah, and that's the one I saw.
Woo.
That's when I'm like, what am I watching? Like literally 30 minutes in, I'm like, what the hell? But I'm not a huge French film fan. The only thing I like less than French films are Italian films. So.
Oh,
Talk
man.
about your Looney Tunes. Anyway,
I am ashamed to say I haven't seen a lot of
they
Italian movies,
are,
but you know,
dude, that turn your brain to mush.
I'm more of a Japanese
Yeah.
film guy.
I'm
an Asian filmmaker lover per se.
Yeah.
And Swedish films are great too. But okay, so we're getting off topic.
Yeah,
so
we are. Sorry.
You knew what was coming, America, and other listeners,
and at all.
and all. So here's the issue. Back in 2012, Luc Besson made a little science fiction movie called Lockout. Have you seen it?
No.
With Guy Pearce.
I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it.
Decent movie. I saw it in theaters. It was fun. It wasn't like amazing, but it was fun. I would say that Guy Pearce's performance was like...
Guy Pearce's I'm sure, I haven't seen it, but I'm sure it's what saved the movie.
Oh yeah, it was single-handedly what saved the movie.
Yeah.
It's still a fun movie. Essentially, the premise of the movie is that, like, the president's daughter goes up to some prison that is in orbit. It's not
an asteroid, isn't it, or something?
No,
Or-
it's an actual, like, colony space station.
Oh, okay. Orbiting
the planet Earth, but they built it as a prison because of prison overpopulation on the planet Earth. So they started building prisons in space, and so the president's daughter was visiting.
Take note,
one.
America. Maybe we should start doing. I don't know.
You never know.
Just saying.
It's a possibility.
Anyway, sorry. I'll shut up.
So the president's daughter in the movie goes up for some reason, and she ends up being caught in there for some reason.
Of course.
So Guy Pearce plays some ex-con mercenary something or other that takes a mission to go up to this prison and save the president's daughter. It's a fun sci-fi action flick. There's not a whole lot of like
Depth.
yeah. It's just sort of like, here it is,
Well, okay, dude,
Take it or leave it.
I just watched The Kingsman, The Golden Circle last
how is
night.
that?
It's good. It's
Yeah?
long.
Is it?
It's 144 minutes, so it's a long film.
wow.
But it's
Okay.
good. I mean, it's Matthew Vaughn. I mean,
Yeah.
you know what you're going to get. I knew what I was going to get going in. It's your typical, action, adventure, spy,
I'm pretty
over the
excited.
top. Yeah, it's fun.
I'm very excited
It's
to
fun.
see that.
So anyway, so it's something like that. I
he made
imagine.
this movie Lockout. Now, apparently, over the last few years, there has been a lawsuit issued by John Carpenter against Luc Besson for plagiarism. And I'm like, what in the hell did he plagiarize?
Yeah, I want to know.
Of yours.
Yeah, right? Can we...
Apparently, there is some evidence, not a whole lot. I mean, you could chalk it up to creative rights and freedoms, but essentially they're saying that the movie, it's too much like Escape from New York. So...
What?
Yeah. Now, in my head, I'm going, okay, well, that's sort of a stretch because, first off, Escape from New York came out in 1981. Lockout came out 30 years later. And I can guarantee you right now, there have been movies that were made 30, 40 years ago. People are essentially remaking and just slapping a new...
They are, dude. I mean,
Yeah.
how many times have I posted something on Facebook? I'm like, oh, Hollywood's doing it again.
Exactly.
Here we are.
Exactly. This is happening all the
All the
time.
time.
If you go with the idea of there's nothing new under the sun, yes, that's absolutely true. I'll even full-blown admit it. I am writing a story that is very similar to Hayao Miyazaki's Castle in the Sky. I'm trying to make my own spin on it, but I'm very inspired by that. It's one of my favorite cartoons of all time, and I kind of want to make a film sort of like as more of like an homage, not an actual like replicate of the film itself, but to pay homage to Miyazaki. And who's to say that Luc Besson was doing the same thing with Escape from New York? Who knows? Clearly there's a lot of differences, but they say a lot
For
of
one thing, it's in New York.
one's in New York, one's in space.
I don't know, maybe.
Because they say that in Escape from New York, he goes to save the president. In Lockout, he goes to save the president's daughter. So
Right, I
you're
mean-
splitting hairs for one thing.
Yeah.
But
I mean, yeah, but how many movies and TV shows are they saving the president's daughter or the general's daughter or somebody so-and-so's
Yeah.
daughter who's got herself in some precarious situation that she could have avoided from the first minute of the film, but, then there wouldn't have been a plot.
Exactly.
Like you say, that's kind of splitting hairs because
It is.
really, we've seen that done dozens
we've seen
of
it done
times.
dozens of times. Well, from last I read is that the lawsuit was finally settled, and John Carpenter walked away with at least $500,000.
Are you kidding me?
Nope.
Okay,
As far as I know.
Okay.
You know what? I'm actually curious.
I-
'Cause Jim, I want to know your opinion about this because it got me. I was like, this is so ridiculous.
I want to know, is it just because he was John Carpenter that he walked away with all that cash? I mean, if this was just Joe Blow that brought charges up against a French filmmaker for potentially plagiarizing some backwoods film that they did way back when, would we have cared?
That's just like the French, doing French things.
Right? Darn you! Doing French stuff. Why can't you do a German shit? But but that's my point. I mean, are we giving him that much money? Are we kowtowing to his little tantrum because he's John Carpenter? Or does he actually have a case? I mean, again, like I said, how many times has Hollywood pulled the same shit where it's literally the same beat for beat story and we're like, well, that's just another remake, and we go about our day and nobody does anything about it.
Yeah, no, let's talk about that. Let's
Yeah.
talk about the fact that James fucking Cameron,
God.
literally, what? Okay, let's just list off everything.
You
that
can't
he
hear it, but I'm
technically-
rolling my eyes right now.
Oh, I can hear it.
Dramatically.
Okay, so John, not who we're talking about now.
James
I'm
Cameron?
mad at everybody. Okay, so
Everyone-
James
everyone's getting
Cameron.
it today.
Everyone's getting it today. So James Cameron, famous for making movies like Titanic,
Alien.
The Terminator, The Abyss, Alien. No, he did Aliens too.
No, that's right. That was
Ridley Scott did the first Alien.
Sorry, Ridley.
And then, of course, his magnum opus, if you will, Avatar.
Again, dramatic eye roll.
Avatar is about the biggest steaming pile of film
Cinematic
shit
shit.
I have ever seen. And you know what? I get it. I get that a lot of people loved it. I get that he spent years developing the CGI, the computer graphics, in order to pull this off. And I get that he spent a lot of time doing it. But I have said this on countless occasions. The second you sacrifice story for visual appeal, you no longer have a movie.
Yeah, because here's the problem, folks. For those of you that haven't seen the movie, if you have seen Dances with Wolves, or Ferngully, or Pocahontas, or The Last Samurai, you've seen the movie.
Yeah.
The only thing you haven't seen is just some giant Smurfs living in trees.
But
that's
did
about
anybody
it.
come out of the woodworks and sue James Cameron
Nope.
for
Nope.
creative plagiarism?
I didn't see any one of those directors or writers coming out going, hey, I wrote a film called Dances with Wolves. It's essentially the same thing. Expect a call from my lawyer. I mean, you didn't see that.
No.
But it just goes to show...
And now he's coming up with 2 new sequels, which, have you heard this? I read this, and this blew my mind. Collectively, between his next 2 movies, Avatar 2 and Avatar 3, which he's doing back-to-back, guess what the collective budget is between these 2 movies? The estimated budget that they're looking at right now.
If I had to guess the budget, I would say 650 mil.
You're close.
How much?
1 billion.
Good lord.
Not even kidding. That was the number I saw. I could not believe it.
All right, James Cameron,
$1
you are the gluttony that is
billion.
wrong with Hollywood.
$1 billion.
You are the one that causes all of the overspending. You're the reason why those poor PAs have to take a pay cut.
Yeah, you're the reason there's inflation within movie theaters, and I
yeah.
have to spend $15 to
15
watch your
bucks
fucking
to
cat
watch-
audition reject aliens dance around on a fucking music app of a planet.
La, 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 la. Yeah, no, you're just, Jimmy, knock it off. You're a hack. I'm
yeah.
saying it. I'm saying it, and it might get me in trouble, and maybe I'll never work in this town because I'm saying it. James Cameron,
He's a hack.
You're a
yeah,
fucking hack.
You know what?
You
But this
and
is the
Dustin
thing.
Lance Black need to both get into a rocket and fly
here we
far the fuck away.
Ooh, man. Oh man, you went right for the gullet.
Yup.
Dustin Lance
I
Black.
can't
I'm not
stand that.
disagreeing with
I
you.
can't
but
stand that
You
hack,
went there.
overblown, self-centered, pretentious prick of a writer. Oh, whew.
Yeah.
All right, I gotta stop. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But so I found the article. Yes, Luc Besson was found guilty of plagiarizing. The appeals court upheld the original judgment and vastly upped the damages to... Oh, it's like a lot more money. In their ruling, the judges listed a long list of similarities between Escape from New York and Lockout, including heroes that, quote, got into the prison by flying a glider space shuttle, had to confront inmates led by a chief with a strange right arm, found hugely important briefcases, and meet a former sidekick who then dies. And at the end of both films, the heroes keep secret documents recovered during their mission. And, giant jails made out of previous non-jail-like places.
That's like every Quentin Tarantino film ever made. I don't know if anyone's actually read into Hollywood anytime recently, but that's pretty much the formula that they're going with now.
Okay, so it says here that Carpenter was asking for $2.4 million in damages, but the damages that he received was $500,000. So it wasn't the full $2.5 million.
He should have received a kick in the ass. I'm sorry.
Well, this is what's interesting about it, though. Think about it. And I would say the same for James Cameron in this respect, is there a possibility... I mean, obviously, like, certain filmmakers can continue their luster throughout the decades, but certain individuals, and I'm going to name John Carpenter and James Cameron as two of them, who peaked during their periods where they were really good, and have just fallen off the face of the earth. Because think about it. The majority of John Carpenter's work took place in the late 70s, early 80s. And the last memorable thing that he did was Big Trouble in Little China, which came out in 1986. So this guy, and he's made like a couple of other random movies that
He's also executive produced a shit ton of stuff.
sucked. But that's the thing, is that he's not doing anything of
not in the
value or
mainstream.
important. No, he's not. And I feel like an issue like this, he's trying to get back into the mainstream.
It's relevancy.
Yeah, at least Luc Besson has the means of, like, you know what, I'm going to get off my butt and go try to be creative and do something.
And what
at
gets
least
me-
he's doing something.
What gets me is because you and I as filmmakers have dealt with these producers and so-called talent who have been irrelevant for years
Yeah.
and want to start being relevant again.
Oh, yeah. We
Yeah.
have our own stories.
And I feel like that's what this is. It's just a case of somebody wanting some attention so they can be relevant again.
Well, think about it. It's the same with James Cameron. He was big during the 80s and the 90s with, the movies that he, had come out with.
Yeah.
But then after Titanic, he just sort of like, meh.
Yeah, maybe. Avatar was the only thing after Titanic. We all went, "Oh my God, James Cameron is still alive!" But after, other than that,
And then you saw it.
and then
you
we're sort of
went,
like, "Oh God, he's still alive making movies." But then, I think it's a matter of who it was. I think
Yeah.
again, it was John Carpenter. Again, if it was Joe Blow suing a French filmmaker, I don't think he would have won. I don't think he would have gotten anything. I think he would have been told to fluff off because, who the hell are you?
Yeah.
I think that plays into it. I just think it's stupid. I think it's dumb when Hollywood is over there remaking the goddamn Beauty and the Beast live action.
I saw it.
Oh.
I hated it.
And now they're making Aladdin, and now they're doing a slated remake for Hocus Pocus, which any kid growing up in the 90s
That got me.
should be appalled.
That got me, dude.
Every time I look at a trailer on going to the movies now, every other one is a remake for some damn movie that came out 5 years ago.
Bob Iger needs to resign.
But
I'm sorry, he
Bob
needs to
Iger,
resign.
Not only does he need to resign, but the entire establishment of Hollywood needs to realize, okay, are they there to make movies, or are they just there to collect a paycheck? Because quite frankly, I think most of the people there that go to theaters to be entertained want to see something fresh and new. Again, I think this is just a matter of double standards.
Oh,
When,
yeah.
when Hollywood is putting out the same crap day after day after day, and guys like us are struggling to get in with original content, take note, Hollywood, you're missing out. You truly, really are. And then you have guys like John fucking Carpenter pitching a fit because he hasn't been relevant since 1975. Well, sorry, Johnny boy. Maybe if you actually did some shit other than Big Trouble Little China, maybe we'd actually give two shits in a rat's ass what you're doing. I don't know. Use what little talent you have and produce something new. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I doubt it.
I am in full agreement with you. I am in absolute full agreement with you. But I think this begs the question if we can segue. And maybe this is a stretch of a connection, but I think like it's the issue with free speech. Because if there is nothing new under the sun, per se, then why is it that so many people try to limit us and go after us when it comes to storytelling? I don't get it. Like...
Well, okay, there's two reasons I think that happens. I think, one, it comes down to paycheck, as in the case with John Carpenter.
I think relevancy is a big
Relevancy
one.
is a big one, and I think the other one is it comes down to sort of what's happening in the political spectrum, where they don't like what we're saying. I think there are a number of people that don't like what filmmakers like us have to say when we write our stories. And instead of just doing the responsible thing and not watching, as a creative-minded man, I take offense to this. Because yes, we've been told, and I was taught this in my film school, that there are only about 7 to 10 stories that you can tell without having to rehash something.
Oh yeah, any basic screenwriting book will tell you
that.
There's technically only 10 stories.
10 variations that you can do. So I'm not surprised when I see these various variations, but what I am surprised is, one, when we get completely the same damn thing, you know, beat for beat. But what I'm also surprised is when somebody has an issue with a story that we're telling because it's too close to the other one. Okay, granted, if this guy made if this French, I keep forgetting his name,
Luc Besson,
if he made a exact beat for beat, word for word, shot for shot reproduction of Escape from New York, then I'd say, yeah, you done fucked up. But he didn't. It was a variation of the story. To the point where, and from what I understand from copyright laws, again, being a lawyer's kid, I try to think that I'm a little more versed in some legal aspects than others. I like to think that, from what I understand, is if enough discrepancy can be made in the product, there's no copyright infringement.
Right.
If enough differences are evident that differentiates it from the original, then you have no case. So I would say...
And I think that's the same. I think that's the case personally with between Lockout and Escape from New York, because I've seen both movies.
Right.
They're not the same fucking movie.
No, they're obviously not. Again,
by and large, not the same movie.
One's in space. One, has a lot different, far different plot line.
But then you got people like Gus Van Sant who can literally make shot for shot, word for word, Psycho. Now, granted, I'm sure that he was able to go through the studio and get some sort of creative liberties.
But you know what? That's lazy filmaking to me. That is.
Yeah.
It's lazy ass filmmaking.
If I like Gus Van Sant as a filmmaker.
Yeah, I like him. He's a good filmmaker. But I think in what he did, I honestly believe you're just being a lazy filmmaker. If you're
being a narcissist, is what you are.
Yeah, the fact that you think that you can do just as good, if not better, and people are going to come and see your shit, even though that's exactly the same damn movie.
Same thing that Hitchcock did.
I mean, come on, dude.
Seriously.
But again, I
don't know what his mind was.
But again, my whole point to this whole thing is I find it to be hypocritical and double standards that Hollywood can get away with forcing remakes down our throats, and yet when Besson does something like this, John Carpenter comes along and goes, "Oh, wait a minute, I don't like it."
No, you're absolutely. There is an absolutely egregious double standard here, and especially when it comes to the idea that a lot of people say that the only safe space to allow freedom of speech anymore is within the entertainment industry, and I would say that there's a lot of truth behind that. That we have a lot of creative rights and liberties within various contracts and laws and stuff that allow us to do what we do. But you're right. It is very frustrating when now we're trying to tell a story and we're under fire for telling a story, whether it's by politics, whether it's by other filmmakers, whether it's by the audience, and it's just like...
And that's what gets me the most, when it's by other filmmakers, by our own
that
kind.
Infuriates me.
Our own colleagues. When our own colleagues are over there stonewalling us, I'm like, dude.
And it's egocentric narcissism.
It's ego and it's narcissism and it's all about relevancy. They want to be the big man on campus. They want to be the only one with the story. They want to be the one who everybody remembers when they think about what. Dude, that's not how Hollywood is. I'm sorry. You have thousands of filmmakers making thousands of movies. One or two of them are going to be close.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Unless you're a Spielberg, a Scorsese, or somebody of very good skill who makes an outstanding movie.
Nolan.
Yeah, unless you're a Nolan, people are going. They're going to kind of mesh together. You know, you're not gonna stand above the crowd. You know what? Just smile for the camera, collect your paycheck for making your film, shut up and go home.
Yeah.
That's again, as a filmmaker, I don't understand these filmmakers and these celebrities that do this kind of thing, where they pitch a fit, whether it's about I'm not getting enough money, I'm only making $200,000 an episode, or I only made $5 million bucks, I only made, you know, or I only got this, or I only got that. I'm like, how about you just dance, monkey, dance, collect your damn paycheck, go home, shut up, and when it comes time to do it again and make more fun and enjoyment for us to watch, then do your deal.
It's frivolity. It's people just want just what they want. But I'm like, okay, you know what? We should all take a page from Dave Grohl, lead singer of Foo Fighters. I went and saw Foo Fighters a few years ago, and we can end on this. Okay. We could take a break on this one. Okay. Because we'll come back to the whole free speech thing. But I think when it comes to, you know, just excessiveness, I saw the Foo Fighters in concert, and Dave Grohl he ran out into the audience and was doing a guitar solo battle with him and Chris Shiflett. How do you say his name? I don't know.
Shiflett, I think.
I don't remember, but
sorry,
yeah, so
Chris.
him and the lead guitarist were having a guitar off. Well, they're doing it while Dave is in the audience. Well, Chris does his solo, and we're all waiting for Dave to do his, and we're like, it's not happening. Where the hell is Dave? So they finally get a cameraman on him, and he's signing some girl's breasts.
Well,
with a Sharpie. He signs it, puts the Sharpie between her tits, and then goes right into the solo and it finishes. Now, this is the best part. Is that he walks up on stage to then say, I've been in the rock and roll industry for 25 years. I can tell you right now that I'm being truthfully honest. That is the first time in over 25 years that I, a rock star, have actually signed some woman's boobs with a Sharpie. And everyone was like, no, you're lying. He's like, don't believe me? I literally drove my family's minivan to this concert tonight.
God.
But I love it. I love it because here's a guy like Dave Grohl is like one of the biggest names, if not the biggest name in rock and roll right now. The guy has millions of dollars in the shit he produces, in the shit that he writes. I mean, not only does he does stuff for Foo Fighters, but he works with Queens of the Stone Age. He works with Tenacious D. He's got his own side project, Them Crooked Vultures. He had Probot at one time, still getting residuals from all the Nirvana shit when he drummed for them. So he is like single-handedly one of the richest people in the rock industry.
He's definitely at least one of the busiest people in the rock industry.
And the fact that he doesn't drive around in some Lamborghini or Maserati.
He doesn't have a driver bringing him everywhere.
No, he drove a minivan, a fucking minivan.
Dave, you get props, buddy.
Seriously,
you
are rock and roll, dude.
Mad props.
But that's what
friend.
I'm saying. There doesn't need to be excessiveness. Like if I literally was making $200,000 an episode, I wouldn't know what to fucking.
I would
do
know
with
because
it.
that's $200,000 a week.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know what the hell to do with that.
What am I gonna do?
What am I gonna do with all this shit?
I'll set up a hedge fund,
right?
apparently
for
all of my kids.
That's what I would do, and I would invest it and live off the return on investment.
It's so interesting to me that so many people they lose their minds.
Yep.
So I need a break. I need a drink or something.
God, I wish we had a drink. We're gonna need a. All right, folks. Well, hang tight. We're gonna go grab ourselves a drink or something. Take a break. Get you a breather, and we come back. It's time to play Politic of the Week, where. Again, we have yet again another hypocrite who just, I want to drop kick. But hang tight, guys. Don't go nowhere. We'll be back. And now, it's time for Politic of the Week, the part of our show where we introduce to you a political or social figure who has been particularly stupid in the eyes of the nation. Hold tight, for there's no telling what amount of bullshittery we may encounter next. Ah, yes. Harold. Making stupid people sound regal. Well, folks, we got another great example of hypocrisy, stupidity, and downright bullshittery for you.
Lay it on me, baby.
Okay, well, It's time for my favorite game show, Racist or Not. The game show where everything's racist and common sense doesn't matter.
Wait, are we adding a new segment now?
We just might, dude.
Damn it!
We just might. Racist or Not.
Racist or not?
I think this is going to have to be a new segment. I'm going to have to find out some theme music for this. Okay, so our Racist or Not politic of the week, or at least our hypocritical politic of the week. Okay, let me give you some backstory first before I give you her name. Recently, to celebrate National Read a Book Day, the First Lady, meaning of course Melania Trump, for those of you who are living under a rock for the past 9 months, the First Lady sent out a collection of 10 Dr. Seuss books to one school in each state across the nation. Now, these titles included The Cat in the Hat, One Fish, Two Fish, Red Fish, Blue Fish, Wacky Wednesday, Green Eggs and Ham, and my personal favorite, Oh, the Places You'll Go.
Nice.
All very non-racist titles in their own right.
Are any of his books racist?
Not to my knowledge. But apparently we have been misinformed all of our years on this planet.
I know a lot of his stuff is political.
Well, yeah, but doubtfully racist.
Yeah.
But despite the gesture, Liz Phipps Soraya, I don't really give a shit because she's a dumbass.
Is it 2 words or what?
It's three names. Liz Phipps Sorio? I don't know. Soreo, thank you.
Is it Soraya?
It looks like it might be.
Let's just go with Soraya.
We're going to go with Soreo. She's a librarian at a public school in Cambridge. She wrote a letter to the First Lady, which was then published in the Hornbook blog, notifying Mrs. Trump that her school would, quote, not be keeping the titles for their collection, explaining that her school didn't have a, quote, need for the books due to her school and library's award-winning status. Apparently, Soreo seemed to be the most offended by the books themselves because she claimed, and I quote, another fact that many people are unaware of is that Dr. Seuss's illustrations are steeped in racist propaganda, caricatures, and harmful stereotypes, she wrote, giving examples of If I Ran a Zoo and To Think That I Saw It on Mulberry Street as clear, quote, racist mockery in Seuss's art. Now, the hypocrisy of Miss Soreo runs even deeper because the librarian herself had participated in a reading of Dr. Seuss during the Obama administration, where Michelle Obama herself had previously read Dr. Seuss books in the East Room as part of this particular celebration, and this particular librarian, Miss Soreo, had dressed up, and I have the picture right up here, had dressed up as the Cat in the Hat herself. You can barely see it. She's got a Cat in the Hat hat. She's holding a copy of Green Eggs and Ham. She's got a Cat in the Hat plush toy in her hand. I mean, she couldn't be celebrating Dr. Seuss anymore if she dug him up and took a selfie with the guy.
Oh, I love it.
So,
I love this so much.
So, I want to know, did Miss Soreo have amnesia? Is she suffering from dementia? If so, I do give her my sincerest sympathies. It is a serious disease of which both my grandmothers eventually passed away from. So if she is in fact suffering from this crippling disease, I sincerely give her my condolences because she must have forgotten what she did a few months back.
You know, it's very interesting to me because I'm looking at the photo and yeah, it's ridiculous.
You can tell that this is obviously not only a hypocritical, but you can tell this is an anti-Trump
Oh no,
push.
this is a total.
Because Melania is following in the footsteps of her predecessor, Michelle Obama, who often read Dr. Seuss books to children. In fact, former First Ladies Hillary Clinton, Barbara Bush, Laura Bush, all participated and read at Dr. Seuss-themed educational events.
Okay, so it's not just been Michelle.
Been Michelle, and it's not just been Melania.
Okay,
It's
because if it was, and I was gonna say, well, you know, we can harken back to about a year ago when she literally took word for word the same speech that Michelle Obama had.
no, she didn't. Snopes proved that wrong. I looked it up.
She took a lot from it.
I looked it up.
But the fact that previous first ladies have also,
and that's
dating
my point.
all the way back to Barbara Bush, have read Dr.
That's my
Seuss
point.
books. So
my point
okay,
is this has been ongoing for the longest time, and yet there's nary been an outcry. And all of a sudden, the current First Lady, whose last name happens to be Trump, donates pretty much 10 innocuous titles to this school, and suddenly this hypocritical Cat in the Hat wearing biznitch out of nowhere goes, but they're racist. We can't have that in our collection. Like, you know,
It is extremely hypocritical.
It's beyond hypocritical.
It's funny that the lady like literally has done nothing to even just hide the fact that
she's a hypocrite.
that this happened with Michelle Obama.
Right?
It's really funny. It's awful too. And this is my biggest thing that I have. Okay, look, we all have our issues with Donald J. Trump. We all have plenty of issues with him. However, Melania, as far as I can tell, there hasn't really been a lot that she has said or done that deserves any sort of fire raining down upon her. There's certain issues where, you know, when they first went into the White House, on the White House website, they were marketing some of her fashion line. Now, that was a lot of discrepancy and a lot of issues with that. Problem is that I don't know if that was solely her idea. I don't know if that was her PR, her staff. I don't know who the fuck decided, yeah, she needs to advertise her fashion design line on the White House website. Well, that is about as not okay as it can get.
Well, keep in mind, look at the staff they had when they first got into the White House. It was not exactly the cream of the crop.
Not at all. But I would like to chalk up a lot of what she does to ignorance. I would like to chalk up a lot of what she does to cultural differences because she's not native-born American. Mm-hmm. But I think...
But there's nothing that she's ever done that's been outright egregious.
Right.
Nothing,
like, you know, yeah, she's, like, right now, the thing that she's, you know, the big kick that she's on is trying to bring down opioid usage in the United States. Am I saying that word right?
Opioid.
Opioid.
I don't know. Now you got me saying it wrong.
Drugs. She's trying to bring down the war on drugs and trying to get drugs out of schools and kids away from drugs. You know, that stuff.
Just say no, kids.
Whatever. That's fine. Like, but that's the thing, is that she hasn't said or done anything to substantiate any sort of attacks. And the fact that there is clear history of not only this librarian, but this school.
Right. Well, not just this school.
Like any school.
Any school throughout the country that this event has taken place for multiple administrations. And like I said, again, no outcry, no problem, no bitching about racism. It's all of a sudden out of nowhere, all these books are racist. It's from a person dressed up in Dr. Seuss getup.
It's very frustrating when so many people look at stuff that one person does and then assume that their significant other is also responsible for those same actions.
Yep.
And I'm like, not at all true. I know plenty of people who were extremely frustrated and angry and bitter towards Barack Obama for doing the shit that he did, but have spoken nothing but high words of praise and adoration for Michelle. Why is it that a lot of people can somehow do that for Barack and Michelle Obama, but they can't seem to separate Donald and Melania Trump?
That's my point.
And their actions.
That is my point.
And I agree with you.
You know, why
I absolutely agree with you. In fact, let's just take a look at the history of what Melania has done. Melania has kept that fat fuck in line better than anyone else has.
She's got the hardest job in the country, my friend.
Right?
She's got to make sure that Donald Trump, who occasionally, and this is coming from a conservative, occasionally acts like a giant 2-year-old in an Armani suit, she's got to keep him in line. She's got to make him looking as possibly good as he can. So
she has way more class.
Far more class than
he does.
Not only far more class than he does, but as far as I'm concerned, far more class than some previous first ladies who I won't name who.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
But
I think it's questionable.
But my point is, she hasn't done anything to merit the same type of vitriol that her husband might get.
I agree.
So I'm like, where does this come from?
I agree. Yeah.
So I can only assume that this librarian obviously checked Hillary Clinton in the box.
Either way, there's no amount.
There's no amount of explanation for her hypocrisy.
There's no need for the disrespect towards Melania Trump because she's literally doing what other first ladies have done, and not only that, but you were in support of it. So yeah, it's just an attack
clear
on
documentation.
Melania Trump, and I'm like, leave the girl alone. We have bigger fish to fry.
Far more.
And that's the other issue too, is that, and this is why I'm in support of what Melania was doing, is because what she was doing it's bringing together people. It's trying to close the gaps.
Exactly. She's doing essentially what we try to do here on this show.
Yeah.
You know, what
so
we
I'm
strive
like,
to do.
So this librarian, I'll agree with you. She's for sure the politic of the week because you're not doing what we on the podcast are trying to do, which is close the gaps, which is have a conversation, which is to break down the barriers of vitriol
and come to an agreement as an American.
And bitter. Exactly. So you're not doing this country any police service. you
And the
librarian
kicker,
bitch.
the kicker is shortly after that, the school district releases a statement basically saying that we do not, what they say, we're not okay with, or we do not support basically her personal views, and we are going to accept the books and blah blah blah. And I'm like, no shit, dude.
Okay, well at least the higher
So
ups.
the
were
higher
like,
ups who had some brains and went, no, you're an idiot. You are in fact a politic. So Lisa Phipps, Sorio, Oreo, I don't give a fuck what your name is because you're a colossal dumbass hypocrite. You get the politic of the week. You have won, racist or not. And the points don't matter.
racist or not. I think that might be a stretch if it was racist or not.
It's a huge stretch.
I'll just tell you right now, the whole racist thing might be a bit of a stretch, but
Yeah.
we'll see. That was a fun one.
That was a fun one.
That was a fun
That's
one.
all I really have to it. I mean, I know we could have dragged it on more, but
No. I like it though. I mean, hell, our politics don't have to go off and do like these massive.
I don't have to burn down a small village in Nepal.
Yeah, no, that constitutes enough
Right.
for politic in
I
my book.
agree.
Well, why don't we move on to our headliner, which we still have no idea what our headliner is, but I'm assuming we're just gonna go into the whole.
We're gonna go on the whole free speech and hypocrisy. notion.
Which
Because-
might be a good thing, because boy howdy, do I want to rip Tommy Lauren a new one.
Now she
Son
said
of a
there are
bitch.
two things. There was one thing she said recently that I actually agreed with, and I can't find the article.
Oh, am I gonna have to slug you?
Maybe.
I'm gonna jump
why-
across this
that's why
fucking
I said
table
across the
and
room.
just beat the shit out of
She
you.
said something I was totally like, yeah, I'm right on with. I'm right on. I can't remember what it was, but then she said something again, a case of saying something smart and then saying something stupid.
And then you said too much.
I just said, yeah, you took it too far.
Stop
Stop
when you
talking.
say something smart.
Just shut
stop
up.
talking.
Yeah, exactly.
Just stop it.
So
God, there's so many fucking people,
So
both on
what-
the left and the right,
Right.
who I'm just like, just stop talking. You overstayed your welcome.
right now
You're done.
just like Ben Franklin said, guests and fish after 3 days stink.
Yes.
So you are definitely starting to.
Brevity is the soul of wit.
Yep.
Please follow suit.
Not overstay your welcome. So what did Tommy say? Grinded your gears and
All right,
sparked your
well,
ire and
She's,
raised
by
your
the way,
hackles.
she's
and-
not the politic of the week, but
No,
I
no,
think
we're-
this might be a good segue into a lot of issues with free speech and hypocrisy, because I also would like to talk a lot about Puerto Rico if we can, because I know that that's a big.
We can touch on it for sure.
I would definitely like to. Cause
I don't want to get bogged down too much in it, but we can touch on it.
I know, because Puerto Rico, I know, is
a-
it's a big cluster right now, and my thoughts and prayers go out to all 3 million residents of the island at
Yes.
this moment. For just, I've seen the pics, and it's
Horrible.
devastating. It's just awful just to see what they have to go through and what they're dealing with right now. So my thoughts and prayers go out to you, and we will do what we can to also be promoting different relief fund websites like the Red Cross, and I'm sure we're going to try to find some more.
We'll
as
find.
well.
We'll do a search and we'll put them up on our Facebook page and of course the YouTube page.
Right.
And we'll get links because, as we've said before on the podcast, we want to make sure that we're just as proactive as we preach.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
we
no,
think,
I agree.
We think it's important to get involved. So
I think
anyway,
it's good for us to kind of keep each other accountable.
Exactly.
For that as well. So, starting off, Miss Lauren. I just love saying Lauren. Just you can tell she's just sucks. Okay, here's what she did. And this is kind of coinciding a lot with the whole NFL protests and the whole free speech debate and everything like this. Tommy Lauren, of course, went after the NFL again, like she normally does, because instead of actually posting something constructive about trying to rescue, the backwards hypocrisy of you disrespectful punks, you this, you that, you my Tommy Lauren impression, so.
sounds marginally like her.
She was in agreement with what Trump was saying about how if any NFL officials or team members or whoever kneel, the owners need to fire them. The problem with that logic, though, is that, if every fucking team kneels, you have no NFL.
Right.
You have no money. So essentially, Tommy is going after the NFL again because of this whole free speech issue, which there's been a lot of holes poked in her theory and her logic, because she's talking about how they talk about they're exercising their free speech, but they're technically not, sort of a thing. How there's it's disrespectful, it's unpatriotic, it's this and that, and I'm like, well, technically it is. They are protected by their constitution.
Right. Well, that's
to do
always
it.
been our argument on this show. The whole
Exactly.
time.
But then she was making various comments. I showed Jim the video not too long ago.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, some of the stuff she was saying was, I I don't want to say it was outright hypocritical. Well, okay, it was pretty hypocritical. Look, I mean, this is my personal belief, and I know Tommy would share some different thoughts. And again, I'll reiterate for people that haven't heard this before, and coming from a conservative guy, you are fully within your rights under the Constitution to protest peacefully. Not violently. That's a whole different ballgame. Peacefully, which these players are doing. I have no problem with them protesting. What I have a problem with is the target of their protest. And it seems like Tommy is taking that a step further, where she doesn't want them to protest at all. Where she's saying, oh, you don't have the right to protest, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. Well, it's just like it's the whole issue with how much she's whining and complaining about, you know, these people with their free speech acts and saying that it's unpatriotic and it's disrespectful and it's this and that, when she went on
be that
this
as it
huge
may,
fucking tirade and filed a lawsuit against the Blaze because why? She was exercising her free speech in support of abortion, and Glenn Beck didn't like that, and she got fired for it.
Right.
So...
Well, again, that's why I say it's
and
a
I
little...
And I will say this, just go with me on this. By protesting peacefully like these players are doing is way less violent than an abortion.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she has no room to talk.
Well, it's also less violent than torching your own damn town when you don't get your way.
Exactly.
So if you were to tell me, hey, you got a choice. You can either have the guys kneeling at the national anthem, which again I do think is disrespectful and wrong. Or you can have guys torching their cities, lighting things on fire, tossing cop cars, and putting holes in various storefronts.
No.
Then I'll say, give me the kneelers.
We have agreed on multiple occasions
Yeah.
that is not okay. That sort of protesting is 100% appalling and not okay whatsoever. But what I appreciate, though, is that there's another point here, because something that I had looked up that I had shared with Jim a while ago, and I wish I wouldn't have known this at last week's podcast, but too little too late. There is an actual United States flag code that technically defends the idea that you can kneel per se.
Well,
during the national
it doesn't
anthem.
say that you can, but it doesn't really
It doesn't
specify
stay-
that you
it-
can't.
Exactly.
So
Exactly. It doesn't flat out say that you must stand, you must salute, you must put your hand over your heart during the national anthem. It is encouraged.
let me do a little cross-referencing.
It's the U.S. Flag Code, Chapter 10, and I read through the whole thing, and whew,
Yeah,
boy, howdy,
it's a
there's
Dick
a
sucker.
lot in
I'll
there.
tell you, bureaucrats love their words, man.
Right? It's ridiculous. But I read the whole thing, and you know what? This is something that someone pointed out to me, and I found very intriguing, is that they say that technically it is neither unpatriotic nor against the law for someone not to stand during the national anthem or salute the flag. It is encouraged but not required. However, there are various articles and stipulations within the U.S. Flag Code Chapter 10 that say that you cannot use the American flag of apparel, any sort of marketing purposes. The flag cannot be presented flat or horizontally.
So here is the 1996 U.S. Code. From the wordage on this, everything says you should be at attention.
Everything is saying you should, not you have to. You should, and I think that's the difficulty. Is that now we're dealing with semantics.
Well, yeah, and that's what gets people in trouble, both on the left and the right. Because if I
always
say
hated English
it,
in
right?
school.
Damn semantic. Because if I come back to you and go, well, Peyton, it says you should, but clearly it's in the article, so therefore do it. But you come back and you go say no, but it says should, not will. Well, now we're just going to back and forth, and we're now discussing stupid shit when we should be talking about more important. See, this is the problem, and this is where we are, why we are where we are now, because instead of focusing on, hey, problems in Puerto Rico and hurricanes, lambasting, we're focusing on this.
Yeah.
And I get it. I'm thoroughly right there with my conservative and patriotic brethren who believe that, quite frankly, these turds should not be kneeling. I totally agree. But that being said, I don't think we should dwell on it.
I don't think we should either, but here's a fun little factoid for you, Jim. I don't know if you read this or not, but this story wasn't, in fact, substantiated. So remember when Colin was first protesting? What was he doing? He was sitting on the bench. He wasn't actually kneeling.
Right.
Then after a few weeks, he started kneeling. Why the change? They found out the reason why the change. During those few weeks, he had been receiving letters and death threats and all kinds of shit from people like, you son of a bitch, how dare you, like, disrespect, da, 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 da. But he still believed, full-heartedly in what he was believing and what he wanted to do. He received a letter from, and I don't remember the guy's name, but he received a letter from a former
He's a veteran.
U.S. veteran who is now a long snapper for the NFL or some shit like that.
Some shit like that.
Anyway, but he sends Kaepernick a letter saying, "I would like to have a sit down and talk with you about this, cordially. I don't want any problems. I don't want any lambasting. I just want to talk to you one-on-one
man to
over
man.
lunch." And Cap was like, "Absolutely." It was the first, one of the first times someone actually was like, "I want to talk to you about this. I want to figure out why the hell you're doing what you're doing." And they did. They went down, they had lunch or coffee or whatever, and they talked about it. And he said to him, and he after the conversation and everything, the guy was like, I understand, Cap. There might be a level of disrespect. There might be a level of, I can't think of the word. But
I just think it's misdirection. He's misdirecting.
Misdirection,
He's misdirecting
exactly.
his protest.
So what happened then was, and this veteran said this, he said, when a fallen soldier returns from war and the body and the casket and the flag are given to the family, how is the flag presented to the family? As a sign of respect. The soldier hands it to them by kneeling. The soldier kneels before the family, hands them the flag.
I'm going over my head one of the times I've seen that happen. If I can recall.
According to this veteran, I haven't been in the military, and if people in the military want to correct me on this, then go for it. But what he said is that when the flag is presented to the family of a fallen soldier, they kneel before the family and present the flag as a respect to the flag and to the family as well.
Okay.
So the veteran told Kaepernick, if you're going to protest, don't sit down, kneel.
Okay.
So that's what Cap did. He took that advice and then he started kneeling. From advice from a United States military veteran. That's so many fucking people in this country are saying you're disrespecting the troops when a fucking troop told him kneel.
Well, here's my only issue with that. It's not really an issue. It's devil's advocate. And
You're always going to play devil's advocate.
I will always play devil's advocate.
Nah, me too.
That's what we do. We are.
I know.
My only problem with that is it comes down to optics.
Yeah.
It doesn't look good. You're not actually presenting a flag to anybody at a funeral. You're kneeling during
I
the
get
national
that.
anthem.
I
when
get that.
3,000 plus people are still at attention with their hand over their hearts, and you're kneeling there on the field. It looks wrong. It just looks bad. It comes down to optics. Whether or not it was advice from a veteran or not.
That's yeah, but then the defense against that would be like, when people institute like free speech, like Milo Yiannopoulos, like Tommy Lauren, like Ben Shapiro. You say you like their message, but then optically they come off as complete fucking assholes.
Yeah, sometimes.
So
what I'm saying.
But that's the problem, though, is that we can talk about optics and everything, and it can look one way, but if it means another, if the message behind it is something, shouldn't we pay attention to the message behind it?
The problem is when optics get in the way, the message is irrelevant, because Kaepernick could be saying every puppy and orphan should be saved in the world, and I'm going to kneel for it. I'm just saying, like, something,
we should be kneeling for puppies.
But right? But the problem is it's bad optic. It's not traditionally what we do, and it's not what we're required to do, and it's not what we're called to do in the code and in our patriotic upbringing. It's not, by all sense of the word and of the practices, it's not right.
So I think that's the difference between you and I, is that you're clearly a traditionalist.
Right.
And I'm about as counterculture as they come, so...
But that's what makes our show so great. Is
right?
Like you've got one guy who's a traditionalist and one guy who just wants to, do his own thing. And that's fine. But that's the beauty of the country, then, is that you're allowed, within the limits of the law, you are allowed to do that. Mm-hmm. And that's why I say I have no problem with I've got a problem, but I don't have any real grounds to say that Kaepernick and the players cannot do that or should not do that.
Right.
Again, it's the wrong target of their protest. I don't think the flag should be what they should be kneeling against. I think they should be protesting in front of city councils, in the Capitol building, the Supreme Court, police divisions, that sort of thing.
Right, because we talked about this before.
Yeah, we talked about this before. Take their ire down there, and I think that's what people are having the problem with is Cap and all these other guys. Look, it's not what you're doing, it's how you're doing it. It's what you're directing your anger towards. The only thing I can equate it to is that when you're kids and you're playing water balloons and you're so angry at somebody that you hurl a water balloon at their best friend. Well, why the hell are you hurling a water balloon at their best friend? They're the dumb assholes that did something to you. They're the target of your anger. Why are you taking it out on another target?
So in other words, Colin Kaepernick should be kneeling before the cop that killed Philando Castile.
Well, I don't know about kneeling. That makes him look kind of subservient, but he should definitely.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's true.
He should be going before the cops' district and the police station and the police commissioner's office and raising some hell.
Well, maybe that's the next step. Who knows? Maybe the next stage of this whole process of protesting. Maybe that's the next step. Maybe once they get the attention of enough people, people are going to go, oh, yeah.
And don't
probably,
forget too, like we said in the last podcast, you got a lot of fans of football sitting around there that are not there to see somebody, in their minds anyway, disrespect their flag. They're there to see somebody just shut up and play football and win the damn game. They're not there for politics.
Respect
they don't
the flag and beat the shit out of each
That's
other.
right. There you go, America.
America.
But seriously, think about it. Whether it's sports,
Right.
whether it's entertainment, you're not there to hear a political message. You're there to watch the person do the job for which they were hired and trained to do.
But that's what's difficult, though, is that, you know, then you know, going back to film and free speech and film is like, where is the line between, you know, trying to tell an entertaining story and trying to tell a message that could be political or personal or spiritual
I
or
think
whatever.
I think the line there, at least with film, is you can give a message, you can give a theme, but when you start shoving your beliefs and your opinions and your ideals down somebody's throat and you're telling them that's how they need to believe too, that's the problem. When anybody says this is what I believe, this is what this is what I think, and this is what I believe is wrong, and you need to believe it too, and if you don't believe it, you're wrong. That's what I have a problem with. And that's my issue, at least when it comes to entertainers doing that kind of thing. That's where I think the line needs to be drawn. It's not your job to tell me how I should feel and think and what my political leanings should be. It's your job to entertain me possibly get me thinking.
Tell me what you're feeling.
Tell me what you're feeling. Tell me what
but
you're
leave
thinking.
it at that.
Exactly.
Leave it at that because
leave it up
then
to me to make my decision based on what you've told me. Is this
an
right or
intelligent
wrong?
human being will then decipher for myself.
Exactly.
Well, this makes sense, but this doesn't.
Exactly.
Let's talk about it.
And I think if somebody like Kaepernick and his fellow players went to these Supreme Courts or to these police precincts,
the districts,
and the districts and such, and actually protested and made a fuss and showed us, hey, this is what we're doing and this is why we're doing it, I think it would get a lot more people on their side going, hey, you know what, you're right about this, versus the 1.8 million people plus that are just pissed off that these guys continue to kneel instead of playing football. I mean, again, it comes down to optics, and it comes down to what they are doing and what they're not doing, and what message that they're subliminally giving everybody else. Whether they're aware of it or not, the message that they're giving these fans of football who are having a problem with this is, we don't respect the flag, and we don't respect you guys enough to do what we're hired to do. We're now going to make this a big spectacle, and it's rather disrespectful the way they're doing it. And again, it just comes across as bad optics.
Well, you heard it, folks. And this is to you, to the NFL, to Kaepernick, to every player that's kneeling. I support what you're doing. I agree with what you're doing. Let's take it up a notch.
And it's crazy. I just had a major...
I think we should take it to the next level.
I just had a major case of deja vu, because I know for a fact we spoke exactly about this before.
Oh, I know.
And yet it still remains an issue.
It's still relevant.
It's,
you know?
and I wish it wasn't. I wish we would have come to... No, I'm serious. I wish we would come to an agreement, or at least we would have come to some sort of...
Because that way we could just move on.
Just move on. I'm so tired, dude. I am so tired of hearing about this kneeling debacle. I really am.
I understand.
You know?
I mean, there's a part of me that is frustrated with it too. But again, somebody who's very counterculture like I am, I'm kind of like, yeah, fight the power.
But do you want to fight the power just to watch it burn, or do you have an actual purpose?
Don't quote The Dark Knight to me. Don't.
No, I'm not gonna. Well,
don't pull a Joker on me.
Or don't pull a Michael Caine. Some people want to watch the whole world burn. Like,
You know,
no,
okay,
I just want to know what, like, you say you're counterculture. Fine, that's all right. You can be counterculture, but you have to have some sort of conviction.
My conviction is this. When the status quo goes on for too long, then this is just me personally, and this could just be whether or not I get bored, or whether or not I think something's wrong, or whether I feel very strongly about an issue or not. If I could chalk everything up to one phrase, it would be this. Sometimes you have to cross the line just to remember where it lies.
I think that's pretty accurate.
That's pretty that when it comes to my idea of counterculture, that's kind of where I'm
But
at.
I think once you find where the line is, you need to take a step back. And I think that's where a lot of these guys are doing, is they're finding the line. They're going, oh, that's the line. Oh, hey, there was the line back there. I'm going to sprint now and see if they catch me now that I've crossed the line. I feel like that's what some of these guys, including a lot of these guys kneeling, are doing now. It's just like, oh, well, I crossed the line. Well, might as well just keep going, suckers. Like, I feel like there's no respect in that regard, because like you say,
I know, but then there's another, like, just total psychopath version of my brain that's just like, nah, keep going, man, keep going.
well, yeah, then, well, therein lies the problem.
So it is a me problem. It's
well,
always a me problem.
It's not a you problem per se. It's just a problem that I think that's the problem. I think that too many people want to see how far the line goes, and I just wish people would just, okay, you've pushed the line, you've gotten the attention. Now actually tell us what it is that you want, versus continuing to beat the dead horse.
Well, I think that's why I think the challenge of, okay, guys, let's take it to the next level. What do we do now? Do we actually go and protest at these different districts?
I think they should. I think they should
do we
peacefully
actually
protest
try to
all
get
that.
a conversation with the Supreme
Get a
Court?
dialogue going. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. If
All right. I'm with you on that.
And if
Let's
they
take
were
it to the next
do
level.
that, if they were to do that,
Yeah.
I think myself and many other citizens would not have a problem. In fact, we'd probably be far more on their side.
Yeah.
Because of what they're doing.
No, I think so. I would agree. So NFL, you have gotten our attention for the last year.
At least.
Now let's step it up.
Let's step it up. Like,
Let's take it to the next
Yep.
level.
do
I'm with you.
the
Let's go.
do the
Let's roll
American
with it.
thing and protest the organizations that are going to get the actual response. They're
yeah.
going to get you a dialogue going and get a change happening.
Speaking of free speech responses,
Yeah.
let's talk about our good friend Donald Trump. Okay, a lot of this is dealing with Puerto Rico, and this is so difficult because has there been a team of first responders that have gone to Puerto Rico? Yes. I find it very interesting that I don't know what it is about this man. Like, what is so inflated on him besides his ego that I don't know. It's just I'm reading some of the tweets that he's saying about Puerto Rico, and I'm like, no president would say these things.
I was thinking about it after you brought it up because Peyton had gone ahead and sent me the link to the original transgression, if you will, that Trump had done against
I went
against
off
the
on
Puerto,
him
against the
yesterday.
Puerto Rican mayor. Now, I went ahead and I thought about this, and I thought about it for a good afternoon because I wanted to really present a reason why I think this is happening, why Trump does what he does. I think Trump is echoing a lot of the anger and a lot of the frustration of a lot of citizens. The average Joe, like you or I, will get frustrated that somebody is complaining and bitching that they're not getting enough help, when clearly they are. Now, they're bitching and complaining they're not getting enough help. You or I, as common citizens, look at that and go, what the hell? Obviously, you're getting enough help. Obviously, there was first responders. Obviously, Trump is doing everything in his bureaucratic power to make sure that some sort of relief is getting to you, and yet you're still pitching a royal fit. What is your problem? That's what you and I say to ourselves.
To our faults. I
Trump,
think.
Trump, being Trump, and being a person on the world stage who is a political figure and a public figure, unfortunately with a Twitter account.
I really think that this podcast needs to start a petition. A petition that goes
Something.
straight to the legislature going,
Stop. No more Twitter for presidents.
No active president
Should have an active Twitter.
should have an active anything social
Anyway.
media.
And I agree. And
Maybe
and
a Facebook,
maybe,
but his
but
PR guy needs
his God is
because
still-
I'm like, Trump literally tweets every 10
right,
minutes.
but hold on. Let me finish up. Let me finish
all
up my
right,
thought
go
real
on.
quick. My thought to this is, as a public figure, he does what we would do privately. He takes to social media, and he airs his frustrations. Be they right, be they wrong, he airs them out, and unfortunately, everybody sees him. His supporters and his detractors, who see that and go, "See? Trump is a horrible person, blah, 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 blah." But later on, they'll be the same people that get on their own Twitter account and bitch that Starbucks didn't have their mocha cocoa fucking frappuccino.
I'm going to get that next time I go.
It's just, it's,
Hi,
co-
what can I get you? Can I get your motherfucker butter?
it's on the hidden menu. And
like an In-N-Out thing.
it's in, yeah, can I get your mocha double frappuccino? What bullshit? Yeah, no, it's on there. But I feel like that's what's happening is Trump is in his knee-jerk, I don't want to say rage, it's just his passion. He's a passionate guy. That goes without saying. Whether you agree with him or not, you gotta agree he's a passionate guy.
yeah, but this...
But listen,
All right.
but he's look. I
You're silencing me a lot.
because I
No,
feel,
that's fine. No, that's fine.
I feel like I maybe it's just for me too. I'm trying to figure out why Trump is doing what he's doing, and I'm trying to rationalize it in my own head. So maybe that's why I'm.
Well,
creating
it's
this
interesting
one-sided
watching
dialogue.
you rationalize it because you're much more conservative than I am, and it's fun watching you try to rationalize it. And most of the time, like you're like, I still have no idea.
I still have at the bottom. At the bottom, yeah. At the end of the day, I have no idea, and he shouldn't have a Twitter, as far as I'm concerned, because he doesn't
Right.
know how to use it.
No, not at all.
But I feel that he's just echoing a lot of what fellow Americans believe. Most of them are Trump supporters, but I think a lot of them believe it. They are just as frustrated as he is with bureaucracy. They are just as frustrated as he is with other Americans, with the political system, with Democrats, with liberals, with whomever.
Right.
And he's doing just what they do. They take to social media and they bitch and complain about it. However, he happens to be president of the United States, and it's not exactly very presidential. And that is wherein the problem lies. Do I agree with what he says on Facebook? 50-50, 60-40 maybe. I tend to be like, okay, I get what you're saying. You're probably being a little bit over the top in saying it, but I understand where he's coming from.
But now we're getting into another debate of optics versus message.
Well, that's horrible optics.
Well, I'm glad that we agree with that.
Dude, that goes without saying.
Well, it's just, I find it very interesting that, he'll say things like the mayor of San Juan, who was very complimentary only a few days ago, has now been told by the Democrats that you must be nasty to Trump. First off, there is no substantiated evidence that Democrats told the mayor of Puerto Rico, be a dick to Donald Trump.
Not that I know of. I mean, I could be missing a whole bunch of directives from them to the mayor. I don't know.
But
This is what I don't
understand is that he'll say something like such poor leadership ability by the mayor of San Juan and others in Puerto Rico who are not able to get their workers to help. They want everything to be done for them when it should be a community effort. 10,000 federal workers now on island doing a fantastic job. When literally, not even like a half hour later, he then tweets, military and first responders, despite no electric, roads, phones, etc., have done an amazing job. Puerto Rico was totally destroyed. Okay, let's break this down grammatically, shall we? You can't say totally destroyed when literally less than 30 minutes ago you went, how dare these people not fend for themselves? How can they? Everything was totally fuck all destroyed, you moron! Why? Shit!
I love it when Peyton goes on his Lewis Black rant.
I don't get it. I just, how? Where does the logic go in his head? Does that make sense to you? You cannot say
and it doesn't.
100% totally destroyed when literally minutes ago you said they need to fend for themselves.
Okay.
Quit getting helping hands. If everything's totally destroyed, how the hell are they supposed to fend for themselves?
But look who's tweeting. He's not very articulate when he explains his policies, so I don't expect him to articulate his thoughts completely totally. But
did you know that islands are surrounded by water? Big blue water?
Big blue what stuff?
Blue ocean water that goes...
I was pretty...
Clearly the man can't articulate shit.
I was pretty aware of that. But I understand... I understand...
Sorry. I saw that clip and I laughed so hard. It's an island surrounded by water. Yes, that's what an island is. It's not an archipelago, you idiot.
Arca what?
Archipelago.
Archipelago?
That's not how you say that.
Sure is.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's not.
Sure is.
All right, well, clearly we have no grounds for being critical of how he says anything.
Anyway. No, we can't even get our own words out. Anyway, but I think what his whole point to that was, even the governor of Puerto Rico himself agreed that Puerto Rico doesn't have its shit together as far as relief is concerned.
Right.
Yeah, the mayor doesn't have her shit together, the island doesn't have its shit together, and I'm not talking because, they're decimated by a Category 5 hurricane. I'm talking because bureaucratically, they do not have their shit together. So Trump is just reiterating what the governor of Puerto Rico is already saying, and that is, hey, we're not the best at getting our people help. He's right. Sorry.
But what I find so intriguing is that it's intriguing, but it's also disturbing how they are asking for help. We should help them. And the reason why we should help them is why, Jim?
Well, because we're humans, number one.
Well, that should be number one.
And because Puerto
always.
Rico is a U.S. province.
Exactly. It is a U.S. territory. Technically, people in U.S. territories are allowed to vote in our election processes. So technically, wait, does that make them taxpayers?
I don't remember. For all intents and purposes, they should.
I'm interested about
that. They should be a state.
Puerto Rico?
Yeah, they should be the state of Puerto Rico. I believe there should be a 51 state, and I believe it should be Puerto Rico. I've always said it.
Really?
Yeah. There's actually been calls for that. It's been. I don't know if there have.
No,
been
I know
votes,
that there's been calls for
there's
it.
been
I just
calls.
didn't know you were very staunch about that.
I think they should.
Oh, all right.
I mean, not just because of the tax purposes, but just because, by all intents and purposes, they rely on us.
Right.
They rely on our services. They vote, to my knowledge.
Yeah.
Why would they not?
No, they do vote. It's
Why
been
would
proven
Why
that
would they not
they-
get
that
the same protection as a U.S. state?
Right. No, it's been proven that they have and can participate in our voting
So the next logical step is, hey, Sign on the dotted line. Welcome to the U.S. of A. officially. Anyway, I digress.
But
I'm
I guess
sorry.
that's the issue, though, is that it's because a lot of what's happening right now with Puerto Rico is it's teetering on the line, similar to what happened with the Bush administration during Hurricane Katrina, which then got me thinking: why do natural disasters only happen when a Republican is in office?
I don't think that's true.
I don't think it's true either. I just the big ones.
Well,
like,
because
really big
everybody, I'll tell
ones,
you
like-
why. Because everybody, especially their naysayers, goes, look, a Republican was in office, and a storm happened, and they didn't do shit about it. I told you Republicans are bad. Like, it's the same bullshit. Yet when a
No, I
Democrat's
know.
in office, and somebody, a hurricane tears through a trailer park, they go, they were just in the wrong place at the wrong time. It's an unfortunate event, an act of God. How could he do such a horrible thing? Thank God we have a Democrat in office who is staunch enough to lead us through this it's just
No,
absolute.
I know. I found that very kind of.
But that's
intriguing.
why. That's why.
But I mean, it's a U.S. territory. It's the same with the Virgin Islands. It's the same with Guam. It's the same with. Oh, I know there's another one. There's 4 territories that I know of. There's Guam, there's Puerto Rico, there's the Virgin Islands, and then there's
Philippines?
no.
New Guinea?
It's near the Philippines.
I thought it was.
It's in that same like
God.
Southeast Asian.
Somalia?
It's in
Somalia?
it's in that same like Malaysia.
Oh God, we look
Not
like
Somalia.
idiots. We look like
Somalia's in Africa.
We look
What are
like
you
not
talking
Somalia. Samoa.
Oh, Samoa.
One of those S words.
Yeah, God, I don't remember.
We look
it's
like
somewhere
idiots.
in there, but no, I got the first 3 right. What are you talking about? We're not complete idiots. We're above average.
We're marginal idiots.
We're marginal idiots. No, but like this is United States territory that participates in our voting processes. That I really am interested in the tax thing, because if they for sure pay any amount of taxes to the United States, oh boy, howdy, we should be helping them with a lot more than we are right now. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but we're already sending a lot. We already sent a lot, and continue
How many
to
did we
send
send?
a lot. I don't
How
remember.
many first responders?
I don't
did we
remember the
send?
exact number, but it was a decent amount for Puerto Rico. Don't forget, dude, it's Puerto Rico, not Texas. It's not.
It's 3 million strong.
I'm not talking about population. I'm talking about landmass. So I'm saying you don't need armies of relief. You just need enough to get relief to the the area of the island itself. But anyway, my point is, it's not like we're neglecting them. Trump isn't sitting there flipping them off via Skype, going, fuck you, Puerto Rico. Like, he's not doing that. He's actually doing what he was elected to do. And yet you have these people, whether they're the mayor of Puerto Rico, whatever the city, whether they're Democrats, liberal, whomever, turning around and going, well, Trump isn't doing anything. Why isn't he doing anything? I wanted Hillary to win. He's not Hillary. Fuck him. He's not doing enough. And because see my point? Because it all comes down to their horse didn't win. So now they're going to create a stink, despite the fact that the guy is actually doing his job. Now, granted, bad optics. He's getting on Twitter being kind of a dumb ass about it.
No, he's not kind of. He's for sure
But,
being a dumbass.
but the problem is, look at what he's up against. He's up at people that won't shut their collective mouths about what a horrible job he's doing, despite the fact that he's actually going through the motions of being a president and getting relief.
But
no, we're too focused on, he's Donald Trump. I don't like the guy.
But this is sort of the issue with it, though, is that if he knows that he's doing a good job, why does he have to parade that around to everybody, whether or not you have a good following or not?
Because
If you
he
know
probably
you've done the right
feels- he
thing,
probably
Why
feels-
can't you just feel like any sense of accomplishment?
Because
in your
when all
personal
you
life and
hear
just
about,
go,
think about it, dude. If you're a filmmaker, which you are, you're a filmmaker. Let's say you make a film. It's the best film of your career. It's the best film ever. It's the best film of your career.
Thanks, Trump.
You're welcome. It's the best film you've ever made, and you put it out there.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, you've got some people saying, yeah, Peyton, it's the greatest. You're the best filmmaker. You're the next Scorsese, blah, blah, blah. But then you have all these people that take to social media and Twitter and every fucking where you turn going, Peyton, you're the worst filmmaker. This is the dumbest film I've ever seen. This is the worst. I mean, blah, blah, blah. And all you get is these detractors and these naysayers and these people bitching you out left and right, and they won't shut up even though you've clearly done a great job at this film. Don't you think at some point you'd go, okay, you know what? I've got to tell you why I'm doing a good job and exactly what I did. I did this, this, and this for my research and my pre-production and this and this and this. I had this guy and all this. You would do that because you felt compelled to explain why in fact you did a good job. And to tell them, no, dude, I did a good job because of this. Despite the fact that you're being a bitch and telling me no and saying I didn't and going against the obvious that I actually did do a good job, here's how I have to explain myself now. Because I don't want people to listen to your pack of lies and go, oh, maybe he didn't make a good movie. Maybe he didn't do a good job. Maybe he didn't send enough people to Puerto Rico. Maybe he's not really doing a good job. He has to defend himself because people won't shut up.
Do you want to hear my opinion on that?
Go ahead.
I agree with you. Personally, I would definitely be in a position where I'd be like, I work very hard at this. I try very hard at doing this, and this is my career. It sucks. It's similar to the Darren Aronofsky thing recently with his movie Mother, how just everybody came under fire from everybody because they wanted him to explain his movie. You shouldn't have to, but he did. But I get it. You've worked very hard on something that means a lot to you, and you hate that so many people don't care for it. So I understand it, and I think personally there is a part of me that says, yes, I would probably go out and defend it. However, my retort to that is this. The logical side of my brain goes, if I make a movie and certain people don't like it, then I look at those people and say, then my movie's not for you. If you take that same logic and apply it to Donald J. Trump, it's essentially him now looking at these people going, I'm not the president for you. Well, to everybody who disagrees with him.
Clearly not the president they wanted.
Right.
That's not
right. But that's the thing, is that the president can't say that or do that. The president is for everybody in the free nation, regardless if you love him, hate him, agree with him.
That's right,
with
folks.
him.
He is, in fact, your president.
You just had to do that, didn't you?
Yep.
You just had to throw that in there.
Yep. I'm on a roll today, dude.
I know.
You got me fired up.
You got me fired
Oh,
up.
it's good, though. I love it.
But you see logically how that could make sense. I get
He's
it. Essentially saying, I'm not the president for you.
Right, I get it. And clearly he's not, because if they're pitching that much of a fit, they're not going to accept him no matter what he does.
Right.
That's just how it comes down to. But
Well,
it's disappointing that he has to defend himself because of all these people who are so fucking loud, who just can't accept the fact that he's sitting in the Oval Office.
Right.
Despite whether you would agree with them or not, you have a bunch of people who just can't stand the fact that he's not Hillary Clinton.
So much to the fact that they'll boycott his wife from bringing Dr. Seuss books to a
exactly.
library.
Exactly.
Well,
come on.
God, I had a couple of, just something in my head, and I can't remember where I was going to go
Sorry.
with it. I know, I'm so mad. 'Cause
My soapbox diatribe got you,
I know, I should have written these
distracted
down.
you.
No, because I was thinking about, there was a couple of questions or challenges or something that I was going to go for, because I know we need to wrap up pretty soon.
Yeah,
but there was a couple of things, because the Puerto Rico thing it's devastating. It is
without
absolutely
a doubt.
awful what's happening.
Yeah, without a doubt.
I would dare say that if, in fact, people in Puerto Rico do pay some amount of taxes into the United States of America, then there's a part of me that thinks, well, hell, shouldn't we do a little bit more than what we did? I'm not saying what we did wasn't enough, but maybe it's not enough, because we're hearing stories about how literally hospitals are decimated. They're finding dead bodies everywhere.
Under rubble and all that, yeah.
It's insanity.
Well,
it's crazy. And this was my thought process on it too. We're not in any sort of major international conflict military-wise, correct? I mean, we're still dealing with issues in Iran and Syria and whatever.
North Korea's starting to create some waves. We're not actually over there.
Right, but there's nothing militaristically that's being taken care of in that. But because on the war front there's not a lot going on for our military, and I can guarantee you we've got thousands of people on reserve within the military. Why not send them? Why not send them? Give them something to do. Because I guarantee you most of the people on military reserve are at home playing Xbox, eating Cheetos.
Are they?
Probably. But that's what I'm wondering. Can they send reserves? Can they send more
did
reserves?
they already, is my thought.
As far as I know, the first responders that they sent were mostly firefighters and...
Well, don't forget, I mean...
Who else were they?
Firefighters,
I can't
paramedics, safety officers. I forgot who else.
I want to know statistically how many of them were military, and should we send more military?
I'd have to look it up. I should have done more research, but I have to look it up. Also, even if they did send them, how safe are they? Because think about it. Is it a condition of, if I put that many boots on the ground, are we now not only creating more of a dangerous situation for the people in the cities, But are we also creating a dangerous situation for our reserve officers because we're putting them in more danger just by having them there?
God, this is so difficult because you throw strategics at me, and then I'm like, God, I get it, and I hate it, and because I get it.
I'm just trying to look at it from a logical point of view.
Strategically, we need to be very cautious
Yes.
with this, but at the same time,
And I feel that's what's happening is Trump is at least if I were president, I'd be very cautious in that sense because of that reason. And then you would have somebody like these officials over in Puerto Rico who are pitching a fit because, oh, we need more help, blah, blah, blah. It's like, yes, I hear you. I understand that. You were getting help. We will get it to you. But we can only do so much so quickly.
I think that's what's hurting my soul right now is that we keep telling people we can't right now. And I'm like, ugh, I feel like we can, though. I feel like we can. And I'm like,
Well,
but I'm trying to figure out like where it's coming.
Well, then
okay.
it comes down to our citizens is what it comes down to. If our officials can't do it or won't do it, or for whatever reason, if they're unable to do so, then it comes down to our citizens, to each other. It behooves us to take some sort of action.
Take action like Elon Musk. I just saw this article. Check this out. Elon Musk. For those who don't know, Elon Musk is the founder and CEO of Tesla Motors.
I knew I heard that name before.
So this article Tesla released is saying Tesla aids Puerto Rico in relief efforts, sends Powerwall systems to help restore power to the island.
There you go. If you are a private
That's the
citizen,
kind of shit I like to
if
see.
you are a private citizen with the means and the heart to do so, do whatever you can to help
Yeah.
those in need. If I was a billionaire like Bill Gates or Musk or Zuckerberg or any of those,
Which I'm sure.
I would venture to guess.
Seriously, the length of Zuckerberg's philanthropy work is
Yeah,
really
so
long.
I would venture
mean,
to guess he's probably involved in it in some fashion.
Yeah.
But if you were like any of those guys, I would hope that you would be compelled and moved to take your resources and use them to help these people in need.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I call our listeners to do. Those who can do it and those who are moved to do so. Because there are some who just can't. For whatever reason, they want to, but they can't.
Yeah.
But there are also those that are able and capable of doing so and want to do it.
Right.
I urge them to do whatever they possibly can do within their means, without stretching themselves too thin, to do whatever they can to offer relief, to offer support. Because otherwise, we're just going to continue this dialogue of, well, why isn't anybody doing anything fast enough and soon enough and quick enough and more?
No, I agree. And I think that's the challenge that we need to give our listeners is that the best way that you can go about doing all this, we have our episodes, we're going to attach articles, we're going to attach
Articles, links to various sites that you can
different
offer
relief funds.
that you can donate to or volunteer to, because we want to help offer an avenue to get you guys involved. So when we talk about stuff like this, when we rant about various things, then we're not just blowing smoke and leaving you with just, a thought. We want to leave you with a way to take some action for yourself.
Yeah.
So
and thankfully, like just with our video, our promo, and that we've if you haven't checked it out yet, we launched our promo video a few days ago.
Check it out on our YouTube page, and I believe it's also up on our Facebook page as well.
It is, yes. It's been up there almost a week now. Continue sharing it. Continue sharing episodes. Continue listening to episodes. The whole point of everything, again, that what Jim and I are trying to do is exactly like what we're doing. We're trying to have a healthy conversation. Sometimes they get heated and pretty rambunctious
right?
like they did today.
That's to be expected.
But at the end of it, we realize, we can come together and say, I mean, more can be done, more should be done.
Let's take action as best we can to try to facilitate that.
And don't be afraid of people trying to hinder your free speech.
No, whether they're on the left or the right. You
That was actually-
you live in America.
That was my question. Real quick, before we wrap it up, my question for you, Jim, is that if there is any sort of like law or amendment or code or something that prohibits somebody in office, a Facebook account, any sort of whatsoever, is that technically infringing on their First Amendment rights?
It's a tricky gray area because they are a public servant.
Exactly.
So,
right?
I would argue that no, because of their position and because of what they're doing, restrictions apply. I don't want to say that they don't get free speech. I just
want to sit Trump down and go, okay, one tweet a day.
Yep. And it has to go through, first off, it has to go through John Kelly.
It has to go through everybody.
Pretty much everybody. And it's got to go through Sanders.
Yep.
And it's got to go through whoever your director of communications is. It's got to go through them.
And your wife.
And your wife. Before you hit send, they get a copy.
Yeah.
And they
It's
get
gotta
a
go through
approval.
at least five
At least
different
five different
individuals.
individuals before they sign off on it.
Just calm down, Trump.
Seriously, dude.
Calm down on the Twitter.
Because look, I understand, Trump, where you're coming from. I get it. And personally, I agree with your vigor.
But as Jim has said, beware of optics.
Exactly. Because right now, it don't look good. So Peyton, I just realized last podcast I didn't give you the final word. I kind of stepped on your final word. So I'm gonna let you
Did
take.
you?
Yeah, I did. Because I
thought we both kinda had
No,
the
because I
final
took. Well, we kind of did, but I took the opening and then I took the final word. So it's actually you get the final say so on this, buddy. So tell us what you want.
So,
And I'll just try
What
to.
do I
say-
want?
Well, not what. No, don't tell us
I want
that.
a bottle of Sailor Jerry right now is what I want.
Oh, tell them what we want. Tell them what you.
Hey, well, I will say this.
Tell 'em what
this
you
is
hope
going to be
for.
my final word. Is that what Jim and I are trying to do? What we've always attempted to do with this podcast over the last few months is just to have a conversation, to not be afraid to speak our minds in a safe way, in a respectful way, and realize that there's a lot of what people on the right, like Jim, say that I agree with, and that is true, and there's a lot that I say on the left that Jim agrees with, and that is true. And that's the point. The point is to always come together and just try to be Americans. Don't act like that fucking librarian idiot that just was like, yeah, I don't want these books because they're this and they came from Trump. Fuck you. This is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Find a different job.
Yeah.
Work at
come on.
Walmart.
Absolutely ridiculous that you're going to act this
No
way.
offense to Walmart workers. I'm sure you guys are plenty good people.
But that just, if you are someone on the right that has a lot of people, friends on the left, or vice versa, listen to our podcast. Listen to Jim and I. Listen to the way we speak. Listen to how we speak. I might be kind of tooting my own horn, but you know what? Take a note from us. We're able to talk to each other. We're able to have been the best of friends for the last 7-8 years now. Knowing that we have these different ideas and these different beliefs within politics, and yet we're still able to do and be as close of friends as we are.
Exactly.
And I think that's the point of it. So just take a note from us, because we're apparently doing something right.
Right? We haven't killed each other, and we're moving quite along with this podcast. So obviously, we're moving in the right direction. And again, don't be afraid, as it did today, to get a little heated.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to let your thoughts be known.
Oh, it'll get heated.
Don't be afraid, and it will. I guarantee you, it will get heated. And don't be afraid to let that happen, because that's part of the dialogue. It's an open, honest dialogue. It's what you want to have with your fellow Americans. So just remember, at the end of the day, to find that common ground,
Yep.
to find that agreement, that one thing. Even if it's just one thing, it can be multiple things, but if it's one thing that you guys agree on,
Yep.
as friends, that you can walk away from and shake hands with,
Do it.
do it.
Do it. And not only that, but just, again, the rest of the world is hurting. Puerto Rico is hurting. The Virgin Islands are hurting.
The Caribbean, the entire Caribbean
Yeah.
is hurting.
Instead of taking a cruise to enjoy a vacation, why don't take a cruise down there and, like, take some bandages with
Exactly.
you while you're at it.
Offer some help. Be
Take
aware.
some cases of Evian.
Anything. Take some extra clothes, old clothes you don't wear anymore. Do something. Get involved. Be aware of your fellow humans around you.
Yeah.
And most importantly, when you do talk about the issues that need to be addressed, and when you do talk about the people that need to be served, and when you do talk about these things with your friends and your colleagues and Americans and citizens of the world, do not be afraid to speak.
Yep.
And never let anyone get in the way of your freedom of speech.
Exactly. Well, I'm just going to say one quick thing, however. I'm not going to be able to say all these names, but we've definitely had a surge of people that have liked our Facebook page over the last week from the videos and the promotions.
I haven't looked at it recently, so I
A
don't
few people
know.
I just want to shout out to. Thank you so much to Eva Lupe Merritt, Scott Adams, Anna Hahn, Tracy Jones, Jack Peebley, Roselia Renas? Renas?
We apologize if we butcher any names.
Jesse Stout. There's plenty more of you, and I'm so sorry I'm not going to shout out all of you. But just if you've liked our page, liked our videos in the last week, we love you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for your support.
From the bottom of our heart, it means more than you know.
It means a whole lot to us.
It
Continue
does.
to share with your friends. Continue to
do.
spread the word about Star Spangled Banter. And like we always say, stay cool out there. Leave the crazy to us.
See you, peeps.
Rock on.